on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I've been lifting for over 20 years. I hold a degree in exercise and sports science, and I've been coaching others for 10 plus years. On this channel, we're all about evidence-based muscle growth or hypertrophy training. In today's video, we're gonna go through lower body workout number 2 of the week. I'm gonna show you what I do, explain why I do it, and show you exactly how to execute so you can apply the principles in this video to your own training. So as mentioned, this is lower body workout number 2 of week 2 of my new upper body / lower body training program or structure, which is going pretty well. A new structure to me. We've moved from a push, pull, lower split and push, pull, lower 6 days per week to upper, lower 6 days per week. So we're trying to figure things out. Again, some of the things to keep in mind is that we've reduced the amount of days that we have off, such that we have to be mindful of how much work is going into each day. So if it was push, pull, low, we have 72 hours rest. Now it's upper, low, we only have 48 hours rest between muscle groups. And that's a consideration. But because we're doing a higher frequency, we can potentially accumulate more work to the muscle groups that we want. Yesterday I had an upper body workout, an adventure workout at a different gym called Camperdown Fitness in Sydney. So didn't get any footage of that one, but it went really well. And maybe we can make that a regular visit out there to Camperdown. And then today, as mentioned, we're going lower body. Now we're starting lower body off with lateral delts because of that whole volume conundrum. So on our upper body work, for me personally, I have to put a lot more work in on a lot more sets. So if I were to put my lateral delts on that day as well, it starts to become a massive session. So I put it at the start of a lower body day, and hopefully movements like this won't affect any of my presses or pulls. But again, we are week 2, so we are experimenting. So our first exercise is going to be the seated behind the back cable lateral raise. Must try exercise, I think, for most people out there. Feels really effective. It's an unusual setup and takes a little bit of practice, but ultimately I would give it a try. There would be a group of people out there who will just go, well, why don't you just do like dumbbell lateral raises and go hard on those? And the question, it's a fair question. They could be just as good. However, if I compare how dumbbell lateral raise feels on my delts and how this feels on my lateral delts, I choose this one for sure. It feels way more effective to me, and that's why I do it. So if you try it, do it for you, see if it feels more effective. Again, do we have any direct evidence to say that dumbbells or this is better or any other exercise is better? Not necessarily. It's just that for me personally, in my experience, if I do dumbbells and then I do this, I feel this in my delts way more. So thing number 1, I use these cuffs. This again is just a minor thing that I do because it feels a little bit more effective to me. What the cuffs allow you to do is put your hand in and not have to grab onto anything. So that's number 1. Number 2, we'll put those cuffs on. Simply step over the cable, sit on the bench, and then we're ready to go. Now you could do this without the bench and happy days. You could do this, standing. You could do this facing out. This is the variation that I had. I'll set that cable height that's pretty narrow and it's quite low, such that the angle that I'm going at for me is going to be around about 45 degrees, right? So we call this the scapular plane, and that scapular plane feels really effective to me and appears to be really good for training the lateral delts. Traditionally, people might train the lateral delts out to the side, but I'm inclined to think we're going 45 or scapular plane to make it really, really targeted towards the lateral delts. Now, with all that said, again, you could angle different ones over the course of time. My one's going behind the back, so I'm stretching my delt behind, with my arm going behind my back. So you could stretch your delt going across your body, you could stretch it going into your body. You could choose these and do different ones over the course of time. So there's not one size fits all. Try different ones, see what feels good to you, and then progress with that. All right, speaking of progression, I'm going to check in on my numbers from last week, see if we can't best them this week. Let's get it on. Okay, lateral delts done. Now we head into one of the big movements for today. So this is going to be a multi-squat machine stiff-legged deadlift, mostly targeted at the hamstrings, but glutes will work, back will work, everything will work. Before we get into it, what about this? Living like the good old days, hey? The old cord. Forgot my over-ear wireless headphones. So now I'm gonna have to live like a caveman. Look at that. Tucked into the shirt. Remember those days? Lucky I keep some spares in my bag at all times. All right, anyway. Stiff-legged deadlift, I do it on this machine for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, it's quite stable. So if you can get some stability out of your training, in my experience, that will allow you the ability to go closer to failure without any imbalance, without any technique breakdown necessarily. So I see the advantage of that, and as my training career has gone on, I have leaned towards more stable exercise so I can push really hard quite safely. So that will be reason number 1, it's stable. This machine is not going to go anywhere other than where the machine goes. If we were to do this with dumbbells or a barbell or anything like that, it's not bad, but yes, you have to focus on keeping it where it needs to be. This one, you don't. You focus on yourself and it will stay where it needs to stay. Reason number 2, these kind of machines that are plate loaded on hinges, so you've got these 2 weight horns here, change resistance as the weight kind of relates to the hinge point. That's the hinge point, yeah. So if you think about this, when this is directly out from the hinge point, if we think about like a spanner or something like that, and you're pulling the spanner down like that, this leverage from all the way out here, this is called a moment arm, this length here. So I'm in a better position to loosen this bolt if I'm out here than when I'm in here. This is kind of working the opposite. Because the weight is out here, or the furthest it's out here, it's going to be hardest in that position. Now, as the movement goes, you'll see that that goes from being close to outside this hinge to being above the hinge, which makes it easy because force is coming down like this, right? So as this comes above this, it should get easier. And at the bottom, it should be hard. Now, the reason that it's potentially beneficial is because the stretch position appears to be really valuable for muscle growth. So when we're in the stretch position at the bottom here, where my hamstrings and glutes are stretched out, that seems to be really worthwhile for muscle growth. And then with this in mind, we're making it really hard in that position. Now, not every single exercise has to be maximally made hard in that position, but I think if you're doing 0 of that, you might be missing out on a little bit. And you will see that coming up later when we do a pendulum squat, that is not hard in the stretch position. But when we get there, I'll take you through that. So I got my straps. Again, I don't want the grip to be the issue. I want the limiting factor. I want my hamstrings to be the limiting factor, but I'll strap in. I know for this particular version, I want to step a little bit further forward. I've practiced this for a couple of months now, so I know I'm a little bit in front of where my hands are. From there, take that deep breath, brace your core, hips are high. I feel a hamstring stretch already. And then we stand. Lengthen them out, stand. And that will be our stiff-legged deadlift. So again, if you do not have this machine, I've done this before on belt squat machines. I've done this before on Smith machine. I've done this before with dumbbells, with barbells, and they're all good stuff. The important thing, keep your back neutral, keep your hips set as high as possible, get the stretch that you can, and go through your best range of motion. And whether it's on this machine or those machines, it's probably going to be or free weights, it's probably going to be a non-issue. All right, we've got a little bit of weight to add, so let's do that and get into it. on the agenda after the stiff-legged deadlifts, we have our glute bias movement, which is going to be the power squat machine rear foot elevated split squat. A bit of a mouthful. So if we look at the stiff-legged deadlift, that is hamstrings and glutes, I keep my leg pretty straight, which means we get a big stretch on the hamstrings. So I'm trying to bias it towards the hamstrings. But really, because we're getting a lot of hip flexion, the glutes are massive workers there as well. But now we go into the movement that I want to feel in my glutes, and I want to be biased by my glutes, which is the split squat. So to make a movement more or less for a muscle group, going through a range of motion or a range of movement that takes that muscle group through a lengthened and shortened position, or as much of those as possible, is probably worthwhile, while leaving other muscles not. So what I'm essentially saying by that is, this is a split squat, so a movement like this, we want to get a lot of hip flexion and potentially limit more knee flexion, because I want to limit the use of my quads, because I've got a quad exercise coming up after this. So plenty of hip flexion gets a big stretch through the glutes. We limit some knee flexion by placing our foot further forward and raising our foot up higher. So I've just got this box here, but this could be a bench or anything like that. Now this one tore my ass up last week, so I got really sore from this one, so it's probably a good sign. The other thing is, just before we give a little demo and get into it, we've got these horns again, so we can weight different parts of the movement. So again, weighting the top horn means at the bottom, that weight is going to be directly out from that hinge point, making it hard at the bottom. And as it gets above that hinge point, or further above that hinge point, it'll essentially get easier. So harder in the lengthened position again, easier in the short position. So I'll tuck my head in here. We're up. Down, nice, under control. Getting the chest pretty much onto the knee. That gives us pretty much full hip flexion. And then there's no getting around the knee bending here for a split squat, but we're not getting heaps of knee flexion. Now, if I wanted to make this a more quad dominant movement, I'd get my foot further back this way, get lots of knee flexion like this, stretch the quad out further. All right, it tore my ass up. Time to tear my ass up again. We're going to add a little bit of weight, and then we are going for it. Okay guys, we take a small little detour away from regular programming due to the availability of the pendulum squat to hit the machine adduction. So not too much to be said for the machine adduction. I think the one main tip, or two main tips should I say, take the knee pads as wide as your flexibility allows and lean back onto the back pad. This is going to stretch the adductors out. So we want to make sure we're leaning back, we've got that stability, and we are also taking our legs out as wide as possible. Now, if you are liking the content, guys, make sure to subscribe and like and share, and I'll let you finish off this machine adduction as we head into the pendulum squat. All right, back on track. Now we go to our quad dominant exercise, which is going to be the pendulum squat. So if up until now in this session I've been discussing training muscles in the lengthened position and making it hard in the lengthened position, this one kind of contradicts that. So the pendulum squat, being that it's on this hinge, means as I get towards the bottom of the movement, it goes towards being underneath this hinge, and if it was to kind of go all the way to the bottom, it would just kind of sit there, right? And then as we squat out of the bottom, that is going to get pretty close to directly, or the weight's back here and me will get pretty close to the level with that hinge again. Meaning, yeah, it gets harder as the movement goes on. It's the easiest in the stretch position. However, in my programming at the moment, I'm doing 3 lower body days. That's right, 3. So with that said, this is the middle day of the week. Having my quad dominant movement potentially not be the hardest in the stretch position, I don't think is bad. I also don't think the evidence is conclusive. It is my preference to make things harder in the stretch position, but I don't think it's conclusive saying that, like, if we did this and something that, like a squat on that, which we did 2 days ago on the power squat machine, if we did that and we took them equally close to failure, would that win out over this because it's harder in the stretch position? I would say, we cannot say that for sure, but I would say that, I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to say the big rocks are that we are training close enough to failure. So if this allows me to get my quads closer to, equally as close to failure as the lengthened position dominant exercise, I would say we're going to be fine. And yeah, it has the added benefit for me on this day for being not as hard in the stretch position on my joints and all that kind of stuff, which I'm a big fan of. So I'll do it in a moderate rep range, but all else remaining equal, it feels effective. So I'm down for that. So what I have kind of found on this particular machine, you kind of figure out your foot position. So you'll see that if I go quite low down with my feet, which is what I try to do, I get a lot of knee flexion, but not as much hip flexion. If I go up, I get more hip flexion. So hip flexion, as we spoke about with the split squat, will lead to more stretch on the glute and potentially more work through the glute. For me, it's quaddy, so it's pretty low on the platform. Feet as low as possible, but keeping the heels on the platform is how I would describe what I do. We're up, we're out. All things remaining equal, we're controlling the down phase, driving up out of the bottom. And that is that. Last week I went out a little bit hot because I'm not familiar with this movement heat, so I jumped weight too quick and I wasn't aware of how hard it gets how quickly. So we'll reset the weight to something that's manageable in the 8 to 15 rep range, and we'll take the quads close to failure. Let's get it. Okay guys, hope you're liking the video so far. Check out how hardcore this gym is. This is the gym I've been training at the last couple of weeks. Some pretty hardcore quotes and murals up here at this gym. which I know would turn some people off. Doesn't bother me too much, but it's neither here nor there for me. So we head to the end of the workout. We're going to do some ab work and some calf work as a superset. I traditionally do these two as a superset to save us a little bit of time. So any kind of calf raise you like, I've just made them such that they're efficient, these two about 5 meters apart. We get the calves in, nothing to it, some sort of heel flexion and extension, or ankle flexion and extension, should I say, and then some sort of ab movement, making them as efficient as possible. Now, I just want to take the time as we finish up this video to make sure you are standardizing your technique. Now, I'm a big fan of range of motion, but it's not, you don't have to be as anal about range of motion as I am. I think the range of motion that you go through just has to be good for you. And we just want to find a standard that you can stick to over time. So if you have a standard you stick to and we see our progress improve, or if we see ourselves improve, we know it's due to us actually improving and not just changing the technique. So we want to make it standard, we want to keep it consistent, make it as effective as possible, and then just stick to that over the course of time. All right, as always guys, it's about progress over perfection. I hope you liked the video. This is Coach Dan signing off.
We're built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.